What's up, YouTube? Welcome back. So in this video, I want to talk about what the YouTuber Kevin Samuels has to say in regards to physical altercations of a familial and home nature in regards to black women. And at this point, I'll just refer to that situation as DV. All right. So DV against black women. And Kevin said that he was going to do a show about DV against black women. And hearing it like that, you're like, okay, that's interesting. Hey, let's have a dialogue and some conversations and some discussions and possibly even some preventative solutions, some solutions for people who are already in it, people who have already went through it, etc. Right? But that's not really the tone that K-Sam, I'll call him K-Sam from this point forward. That's not the point that K-Sam is really going at here. The way that he put it is black women and DV, it's very exaggerated according to him, and that he doesn't really know any black woman except for maybe one who was like a friend of his mother's and like who have experienced DV, and he said that she and her husband were both fighting each other, right? Interesting there. Well, she was probably having to fight him back maybe versus her being the aggressor, but sometimes in some cases that is true. But I do find it extremely interesting and even problematic or extremely problematic that we're kind of having a discussion about DV in regards to black women, and we're approaching it like this, as if like these black women are making up this stuff. These black women, they're over exaggerating this stuff. They always got something to complain about, right? This is just a plot to bring the black man down. I tell you, the black woman and the white man work together every night and day to bring down the black man. Oh, yes, they do. They ain't no good. They ain't no good. But the woman who births the white man and raises the white man and nurtures the white man, oh, she's good. She's a good one now. And teaches him all that he needs to know about maintaining the system. She's a good one. She loves the brothers. But seriously, let me get back to topic, because this is, a serious topic, though. But just because you don't see something or you haven't experienced something yourself, it doesn't mean that it does not happen. It does not mean that it does not exist. It just means that you have not experienced it, right? Just because you've never been to Hong Kong does not mean that Hong Kong does not exist. It just means that you have never been to Hong Kong. Just because you have never been a millionaire does not mean that millionaires do not exist. It just means that you have not ever had $1 million or more in your bank account, etc., etc., etc. So right there, we already know we kind of dealing with, I don't know, either someone who is lacking intelligence or either someone who is pretending to lack intelligence. You know how people kind of like, they can be really smart when it comes to, critically thinking about, the things that black women do and, pontificating on that. But then when it comes to situations like this, then it's all like we get real dumb. Oh, 2 + 2 is triangle. Black women make up stories because they want attention. Right? And get real dumb with it, right? And personally, I feel like he's being controversial, but he's doing it purely for the check, though. The thing is with me personally, like, if you're going to be controversial, like, be controversial for a good cause. You know, like, you can really bring attention to an issue by being controversial. But the way that he's going about it, I don't really think he's trying to do it for that. It's just like, oh, let me be controversial so that I can get, some people to tune in, so I can get some more money, some AdSense revenue, some cash app, some super chat, some more Patreon subscribers, right? So some GoFundMe's if he has a GoFundMe, right? And he also mentioned the color purple-ing of the black community. He's using the color purple as a verb, or at least purple. The color purpling of the black community. And he's making a reference to the movie Color Purple, which it came out in the 80s and caused a bit of a stir within the black community, among black men, and some black women as well, but especially among black men. And the thing is, I'm like, are we still on the color purple? That happened like back in the 80s sometime. We still on that? And Oprah. We still on the color purple and Oprah? Right? We still on that? Right? When we got a whole genre of music perpetuating negative propaganda against black women going strong, right? When we got people on social media, especially YouTube, who can get a come up off of disparaging black women, right? Anytime folks need to get a little shine, a little twinkle twinkle, a little sparkle sparkle in the media, they come find black women to troll. Let's be real. Wasn't Tila Toilet Water Tequila just doing that a couple of weeks ago? And she came back and started trolling black men too. And for those black dudes who were supporting her, that's what you get. That's what happens when you support foolishness. Yeah, they're somewhere looking real dumb right now. But then again, maybe some of them probably so dumb they don't even think that it applies to them. But that's another story. But yeah. And I thought that K-Sam said when he was doing that interview with Tasha K, that, oh, he's here for trying to improve and help the relationship between black men and black women. Right? And I'm like, really? I can't tell. I really can't tell. I just think that at this point it's more like exploiting the problems that black men and black women have amongst each other and the animosity that some of them have in regards to romantic relationships. But, that's how you get a come up. Or that's a part of how you get a come up. But yeah, even in that interview, which by the way was not, again, as I mentioned many a time, was not worth $15. All right, that was not worth 15 smack us. And it was really like a softball interview as well. It wasn't really like taking him to task on anything, or even just like having some genuine discussions and dialogues about things. It was just like, Tasha K up there just saying, you are so handsome. And then K-Sam, he just over there saying, thank you. Not returning the compliment at all. I guess he could have said that, hey, Tasha K, you handsome too, Tasha K. He could have said that, right? But seriously, though, he could have gave Tasha K a compliment. Did he compliment her set? It was a nice set. No. All right. But, that's what happens when you just being You know, that's what happens when you're really just, lost in the sauce, lost in the matrix, and just very much, just trying to appease, you know, folks. But in regards to the situation that K Sam is going to do a video on, or a live stream or whatever, on the DV issue as it relates to black women, I'm just going to say to the black women out there, I think, get ready for things to get physical, or at least be prepared for that. Because honestly, I think that's where this is heading. If it's not already there, really. I mean, we already see women being attacked for declining, like, advances from men on the street. And also, like, K-Sam and other black male YouTubers, and perhaps even some black female YouTubers, arguably, are sort of helping to perpetuate an environment where it's like, oh, these black women ain't ish. These black women do this. These black women do that. Let's talk disparagingly about black women, right? And oftentimes it does start with verbal. Like, again, I mean, I'm sure some situations can just start physical, but sometimes in many situations it does start with like verbal altercations. And then it somehow, somewhere along the way, moves and turns into like physical. It was like the verbal and emotional assaults and altercations, and then the physical altercations happen, right? And God forbid, but someone who may follow K-Sam, some man who's not quite right in the head, right, who's a little weak-minded, right, might take things too far because they've been influenced by K-Sam and these other black male YouTubers who consistently disparage black women. So they may end up taking something a bit too far, and it may end up being a fatal situation for some black woman out there. God forbid, but that could possibly happen, considering that people are starting to like foster an environment where it's okay to be like, verbally aggressive towards black women, and then that's going to change and morph into being physically aggressive towards black women, right? And also, we do have black women out there who support Kevin Samuels. That's something else too that can be pointed out, where it's like women, black women, sometimes play a part in helping to perpetuate the verbal and physical abuse against other groups of women, other black women, what have you. And it's all good for those women because they feel like, oh, they're the special one. It's not going to happen to them as long as they just, mammy mule and beg to be picked. Then it's all good in the hood and they ain't going to go through that. But no, you're going to get it too, but it's just not your turn right now. But it's going to come to you eventually, and then you're going to be up in some video talking about us black women. We is so unprotected. We don't do anything. I tell you, we go through so much. I tell you, we ain't got nobody. We ain't got nobody. Right? Just be in a video, hamming it up, right? Because it's happened to you. But when it's happened to the other black woman, it's like, you know, oh, well, she probably brought it on herself. She got that bad attitude. You can't be going around, just snapping on and yelling at everybody, especially no Black Kane like that. Uh-uh. And also, for these dudes out here, especially, I'm like, well, some of these dudes be saying like, oh, uh, K-Sam, he gonna be going mainstream. K-Sam was on Vlad TV. He gonna be going mainstream soon, Shawty. That my daddy. Shoot, twerk, twerk, twerk for my daddy. Put in work for my daddy. Simp, simp, simp for my daddy. And these dudes saying, oh, he's gonna go mainstream soon. And I'm like, I don't think. First of all, before this, I didn't think K-Sam was going to be going mainstream. For the simple fact that I don't really think the mainstream is really interested in these type of discussions. I really don't. Involving rating Black women, but also other women too. But I just really don't think that the mainstream is going to be really interested in discussing that. I don't really think K-Sam is really offering anything new or innovative to the mainstream. I think it may be new and innovative for the Blackistan, perhaps, but I don't think it's new and innovative for outside of Blackistan, though. And also, and now that he's downplaying DV against Black women, I really don't think that a mainstream media is going to really be trying to push that. Not to say that mainstream media has Black women's back all like that, but they really don't want to do anything that's really overtly, misogynistic against Black women, or even just women in general, because they could have possibly a spillover effect into other groups of women, you know? And also, I just really don't think, from a marketing perspective, I really just don't think this is marketable. And, even just forgetting about, like, the extremely negative misogynistic implications involved in it, but I just don't really think it's marketable either. Right. But, perhaps I'm just short-sighted and maybe I'm missing something, and that, K-Sam's going to be shooting from the moon and shooting to the stars pretty soon and going to be an international, what is he? What? Like an image consultant? So K-Sam going to be an international image consultant, and, all the top profile men in the world going to be going to him for their image consultants and consultations and stuff. Like, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, So they're going to be all going to K-Sam for some image consulting and stuff. All right. Tell me when that happens. All right. Just tell me when that happens. And ultimately, no shade on the K-Sam on that part if he wants to be an image consultant and whatnot. Good for him on that. But much shade on him downplaying domestic violence against Black women, because for one, that's really not cool. A second, that's very dangerous to put out a narrative like that. And as well, you might, for the Black women out there, you might want to be taking notes and keeping receipts on the people who kind of like maybe agreeing with this, siding with this, perhaps taking all this into like serious consideration. Just, maybe keep some notes on this, especially if they're like popular YouTubers doing this, right? Keep notes and start just putting together a cancel list if you already haven't, about just folks you ain't gonna be supporting no more. And I think that's part of the problem now. not all, but enough black women out there coming through and supporting Kevin Samuels for the simple fact that he still got black women calling up and asking them to rate him and asking him all about these dang on questions and stuff. And, you know, and then Shekinah, she's saying that, Kevin Samuel, he fine. Even after they got into it, she's like, he fine though. And at least Tokyo Vanity, I mean, she a pick me too, but at least she got some sense though. At least she got some sense. She was like, she's like, nah. She's like, nah. She's like, what? She just said like, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. But yeah, I'm like, I think that you shouldn't be big upping people and saying that they look good when they are doing things that, when they have ugly ways, right? Really, I think that should be something that would make them look ugly, right? Oh yeah, this person's good looking, but you find out that they got some real ugly ways about them, then I think you really need to be withdrawing your infatuation with them. But folks do what they do. Folks got to do what they do, I guess. Yeah. But as far as Tasha K is concerned, and Kevin Samuels, both of them are concerned, I think at this point it's like, well, Tasha K, I think like where I'm getting at is like, if Tasha K, God forbids, is to end up in a domestic, situation with her husband, based on what Kevin Samuels is saying, how do you think he's going to be reacting to this, right? While you all up there, mammy and mulling and just making sure that you protect that black cane. Now, you protect that black cane, put down your life on that black cane. While you doing all that, helping him do damage control and stuff like that, is he going to show up for you when you need him to show up for you? Probably not. Probably not. But, this is the hole that Pick-Me K, Tasha K dug for herself, And if Mammy K, Tasha K, she just, But man, but on the other hand, maybe I'm just being a little too hard on Tasha K. Maybe I'm just being a little too hard on Tasha K. But I guess I'll bring this video to a close. I think I've said all I need to say. So I don't think there's any more reason to go on at this point. But what do you guys think about this situation? Tell me your thoughts and opinions about this. Do you agree with what Kevin Samuels has to say? I do wonder what Tasha K has to say about this. And what do you guys think about all this? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments section. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now. One more thing that I do feel the need to sort of touch on right quick. K-Sam also said that, there is like, verbal and emotional altercations and abuse directed at black men coming from black women. And he said, basically he's saying like, oh yeah, as far as like verbal stuff is concerned, verbal altercations and emotional distress and whatnot. Like, he's saying that it doesn't come from the men to the women, but rather, the black men to the black women, but rather the black women to the black men. Like, you basically, black women verbally and emotionally hurt black men. And it's like, really? I mean, I'm sure that some black woman does this something that hurts some black man feeling. I'm sure. And, you know, you shouldn't be saying things like that, as well that he shouldn't be saying things like that towards you, you know, etc. We really shouldn't be engaging in behaviors like that. But I do find it interesting that you can zero in on that, but you can't zero in on the actual physical altercations that black women experience for some reason that are perpetuated and committed by black men. That's very strange. As I mentioned before, these people, they do have like selective critical thinking skills. They kind of pick and choose when to use their critical thinking skills. In some situations, they act like they got PhDs. In other situations, they acting like they flunked out of kindergarten. So, what do you guys gotta say about that? As well as just what I discussed in this whole video in general, right? And what K Sam is doing in regards to this situation. Let me know what you think. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now.